Hello, people of Grace Community Church. Some of you might know me. My name is Doug Ogden. I've been at Grace for about 9 years and a covenanter for 8 of those years. Um, I am married to a wonderful woman named Kristen Ogden, who was at Grace even before me. And when I moved to North Carolina in 2010, she was already there. And so that's kind of how I wound up at Grace. Kristen is an educator. She was a teacher in Guilford County Schools for 9 years and is now a curriculum facilitator, like an educational coach here in Greensboro. We own our own home in the Delwood neighborhood of Greensboro. Lived in Glenwood for a little while when we were renting, but yeah. Let's see. I am passionate about a lot of things. I come from a big family. We're very close. I have 6 biological brothers and sisters. We all get along and love each other, and I love them a lot. Obviously, I'm passionate about the Lord, and I would say one of the things that I'm most passionate about in terms of my relationship with God is trying to communicate the gospel clearly. I grew up in the church. My dad was a preacher, and grew up doing all the right things and living the right life. Made good choices and walked with the Lord, and definitely experienced God in powerful ways. But I don't think it ever really took root in my heart the way that it needed to. And I got into some trouble in my late teenage years, and then even into my 20s. That just came down to lack of belief and lack of knowing Christ. In the last couple of years, as I've rediscovered faith and in some ways discovered Christ for the first time, I've just had this growing desire to see, especially teenagers, hear the gospel. I don't know that I ever really understood the power of the freedom that Christ offers instead of shame. The power of the hope that Christ offers instead of loneliness and isolation. I got to a point in my 20s where I genuinely believed that God hated me every time I did something wrong. And that's not really anyone's fault. But I grew up around Christians, and I grew up around people that love the Lord, and I still didn't get that. I still didn't fully understand what Christ was offering. And so, as I have come to know Jesus, I want others to know him as well. So, that's something I'm very passionate about. I like sports. I follow baseball and basketball. Oh, sorry, my cat was in the way. Oh, watch out, buddy. Yeah, I'm probably passionate about some other things, but I can't think right now. Let's see, why I'm interested in Grace Greensboro. Well, I have been at Grace for 9 years and served as a volunteer on the youth ministry a number of years ago. And always enjoyed working with Davey and Ansel, who were the high school and middle school pastors at the time. And just have kind of, in the last year or so, really thought through what it would look like to get back involved at Grace. And my wife and I have taught Sunday school classes, and we are currently serving in a missional community. But I just have kind of felt this growing desire to be back in vocational ministry. Once upon a time, I really believed that God had called me to that. And then after going through some rough stuff in my 20s, I thought that was maybe a thing of the past. But over the course of the last year, I've just kind of wondered and kind of sought the Lord on if that was something he would still have for me. So when the job at Grace became a potential, I decided that I would kind of be open to it. And if the Lord would open those doors, that I'd walk through them. So that's kind of where we're at with that. The last thing they want me to do is tell you a joke, so I'll pick my favorite joke, which is there are 2 muffins in an oven, and the one muffin says, "Man, it is really hot in here." And the other muffin says, "Whoa, a talking muffin."